to What We're Enjoying Wednesday, part of Elmhurst Public Library at Home, the library's online program series. Each week, our staff will be talking to you about what they're reading, watching, listening to, playing, or otherwise enjoying that they suggest to others. This week, I've been enjoying Ghostland, An American History in Haunted Places by Colin Dickey. This is a nonfiction book looking at some of America's most reportedly haunted places. What I like is that Dickey is not trying to convince the audience whether or not ghosts exist. He's simply giving context for why these stories may have come up and why they have changed over time to suit the needs of the city or the storyteller. Something that I enjoyed the most was learning about some of the financial implications behind the Salem witch trials and how they play into the story that we think we know.
Over the weekend, I devoured Pyronesi by Susanna Clark. In Pyronesi, the main character, Pyronesi, spends his days exploring his world, which is a house with infinite rooms covered in statues. As far as he knows, only one other person exists in this house with him. That person is appropriately named the Other. But one day, Pyronesi discovers evidence that there is another human or another person of some type in this house with him. And as he discovers more and more about this other person, Pyronesi's world just comes crashing down all around them. Like I said, I devoured this book in a weekend. It was a much quicker read than Susanna Clark's other novel, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, but it does have quite an otherworldly feel to it, and it is very thrilling as you start finding out what is going on with our main character. So this is Pyronesi by Susanna Clark.
This week I'm enjoying Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Maria Machado. I chose this one because it's almost Halloween and the stories are kind of spooky, but also October is LGBTQ History Month, and Carmen Maria Machado is a lesbian author who features a lot of lesbian and LGBTQ themes in her stories. So the first story, The Husband Stitch, those of you who grew up on these scary stories of Alvin Schwartz, A Dark, Dark Room, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, you might recognize the character Jenny from The Green Ribbon in this story that was in A Dark, Dark Room. This story also features some of the folk tales from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. So it's kind of a fun trip down nostalgia lane. The stories in this anthology are not all horror, but they're enjoyable nonetheless. And it was a National Book Award finalist in 2017.
Hi, I just finished this book, Say Nothing, A True Story of Murder and Memory in Northern Ireland by Patrick Radden Keefe. And I picked this book up because it was on President Obama's list of favorites from last year. And because it's about the Troubles in Northern Ireland, so that spans from the late 60s and ended by the Good Friday Agreement of 1998. At the heart of this book is the question of what happened to Jean McConville in December of 1972 in Belfast. So Jean McConville was a widowed mother of 10, and she was taken from her home in front of her kids to never return again. So was she a British spy, or was she just an unlucky victim of rumor and circumstance? The author writes about the major players associated with the politics of that time, Jerry McAdams, Margaret Thatcher, Ian Paisley, but we also learn about the foot soldiers who were carrying out orders. So those orders included disappearing people, bombings in both Northern Ireland and London, and hunger strikes by prisoners. This book is about collateral damage and about what happens to these foot soldiers when the struggle is over and peace is declared, and then people have to live and sometimes be haunted with the fallout of what they did until they die. Patrick Radden Keefe is a master storyteller and a gifted reporter and interviewer who doggedly researched these events. I was intrigued by the stories and heartbroken for the victims. It just made me think about struggles for peace and the levels of violence that people will accept in that struggle. I'll be thinking about this haunting book for a long time. I highly recommend it.